Pimax just sent us the Pimax 5K Plus in the post, so in this video we're going to be checking it out and giving it a first impression with Assetto Corsa. Let's go! Right, for those of you that don't know, the Pimax 5K Plus and the Pimax headsets currently offer the widest field of view currently available on consumer headsets, and that field of view is around about 170 degrees. In contrast, for example, to the Valve Index, which I believe is about 115 or so degrees. Now, of course, the actual degrees of field of view you see depends on how close your eyes are to the lens and some other stuff, but give or take 170 degrees field of view, which is significantly better than, or wider than, any other VR headset that I've used. I've not tried this with a driving sim or a game yet. I've literally just loaded this into Steam VR, got the drivers installed and everything, made sure it was all up to date. This is me losing my wide field of view virginity, so fasten your seatbelts, let's get it on here, and let's see. Oh my god! Wow! Indeed it is a wide field of view. Oh man, so if I'm sat here, I can see, so it's coming out like this in terms of the actual field of view. This is very close. This is very close to what you see of a helmet. Maybe still a little bit less than what you see from a real world helmet, because this edge bit's cut off. Oh no, it's actually about the same as what you'd see through like a normal bike, well, a normal helmet. I mean, that is pretty crazy. I have to say, that is pretty crazy. You do notice as well, though, that there is, like, at the edges, it is blurred, and there's like a weird distortion. As I turn my head around and move it up and down, there is a bit of sort of weird distortion at the edges. Though it's more that it's like blurred at the edges rather than distorted. I don't know. It's weird. It's got like a character to the edges. So, and also the sweet spot is quite small. But the headset is actually surprisingly light, I have to say. Given that it's using this sort of relatively sort of dev kitish type strap, the headset's actually quite light. It's bizarrely quite comfortable, even though it doesn't have like a fancy pants head strap on it. Wow! So I am sat in my Porsche here. Let's do some driving, and we'll hopefully be able to talk about the visibility. Now, unfortunately, I'm just looking at the actual view you guys see from the capture, and you don't. So when I'm looking here, I can see, if I'm looking straight ahead, or I can look to my eyes to the right here, I can actually, well, I can't see it clearly, but blurred and sort of slightly distorted, I can see the right mirror. I can't see the right mirror enough without being able to to actually distinguish what it's reflecting. I just know it's there. I can see that it's there. I have to look like this to actually see what's in the right mirror. But I can see both mirrors of the car. I can look to the left mirror and I can see what's in there, but it's not maximum clarity. It's a little bit distorted towards the edges. But if I'm looking straight ahead and I've got my head here, I can actually see what's through that window. Again, just not very clearly because it's a little bit blurred. And I can see what's through that window. Again, not very clearly because it's a little bit blurred. And then everything straight ahead is relatively similar to the sort of visual clarity of what you get from the Oculus Rift S. I can of course see the rear view mirror at the top middle there. And then the vertical field of view is actually most of my vertical field of view. I can see like two, it's like I'm wearing ski goggles. More cut off at the bottom than the top, but that is really impressive. If it wasn't for the distortion at the edges, and I can tell the lenses on this do sort of distort and warp things in general, much more than the Valve Index does, for example. But if it wasn't for that, we're basically, I'm basically wearing a helmet in a car, which is pretty damn incredible, to be honest. Let's get driving here, man. I'm gonna try my best to describe stuff here, guys. VR and headsets are the worst thing to try and actually. You need to try one, really. A bold git in a sim rig's not really going to be able to convey it properly. So, oh, here we go. Controller's not working. Ah, typical. It is crazy. Right, there we go. Oh, we got wheel. Fantastic. Right, let's get the headset in. Now the headset does the HMD doesn't come with any headphones or anything. We're all good. So you have to use your own headphones on it. It does have a headphone socket, obviously. Oh my god. Man, yeah, I mean, it is pretty crazy. Well, the volume's bloody loud. I'm going deaf here. I can see out the full front window of the car whilst looking straight ahead. I can see the whole everything out the window. As I said, unfortunately, the capture window doesn't show exactly what I can see. I'd have to amalgamate the left and right eye for you to see the full width of the field of view of what I can actually see in the video. But that actually has quite a big effect on... Like, I can see that car's next to me without looking, and without turning my head. Oh, Christ. Hang on. Let's restart the race here. I didn't quite have the headset in the sweet spot there. Restart the session. Right, let's do this. I'm going to have to concentrate a bit on the driving. Let's recenter the headset as well. Oh, there we go. That's even better. Even more visibility because I was sat too far forwards there. Double check the recording's all good. Yeah. Got like 10 things to keep track of here. There we go. Get the headset in place and we're sorted. Got to watch out for losing control of the car. I am using a Formula rim. I probably shouldn't be. There's always something we're getting wrong here. But yeah, so I'm looking straight ahead here, and I can see. It's not clear. It's not the edges aren't in focus at the edges when I'm looking straight ahead. But like now, I can see that car. Now he's gone. I'm not having to turn my head at all. I can see the car right, see the car. Now he's gone. The peripheral awareness is actually pretty good. Look, with the other VR headsets, you have to turn your head to see it. I mean, it's not... When I look my eyes over there, it does actually get sharp again. The thing is, in reality, the way your eyes work, only what you're looking at is sharp. You know, like there's a very small area of an image that's actually pin sharp. But I think what it is with this is not that it's blurred at the edges and at the bottom and a touch at the top. It's more that it's like when I move my head, it's like the edges are sort of warped in a weird way. And in terms of the actual clarity of the screen, though, in front of me, it's pretty similar to the Rift S. Actually, no, it's a little bit. It's probably about 15% or so lower resolution than the Rift S, if talking like straight on. So the clarity is not as good, right? In terms of the sort of view distance of the sharpness. I mean, I guess you could run super sampling with this to up it more. I'll have to test that. I don't know what kind of performance I get. So I am noticing some sort of jaggies and stuff into the distance. But I guess, and that's the thing at the moment, is that sort of compromise between the having a wider field of view and then the sort of pixel density. But it is really striking having that lateral awareness. It does it does quite a lot with the driving sim to sort of place you into the game world as well, because I'm much more aware of the stuff at the side of the car. Even though I can't see it clearly, it gives you the sense that you're moving through an environment more. I think there's a better perception of speed, a better sort of perception of the vehicle kind of existing. You know, it's weird because, I mean, with the Index and the Rift S, I definitely find those headsets still like super immersive. You know, you feel like you're in the game when you're using those headsets. They still do VR. But that wider field of view, it does do something quite magical. it's hard to say. Is it worth the compromise in forward clarity? I mean, I'd have to do more testing using super sampling and stuff, but this is sort of having used the index and the Rift S to some extent, getting used to that and the amount of the sort of clarity you get in front of you, and the fact with a driving sim you're normally looking at least sort of like at least 50 meters, probably 100 meters in front of you at all times. So it is, you don't have that clarity into the distance that you have on those headsets. But then you got the field of view. Oh man, VR headsets at this point in time. Whoa, been murdered. We're in this somewhat annoying, but also actually, oh Christ, I've just been punted there. Somewhat annoying, but also amazing time where we get to see all this sort of new technology start to advance and sort of big changes and the development of mass market consumer VR. It's absolutely incredible, to be honest. Now, I tell you what, I'm not noticing. There's not that much smearing or like God rays. That's one thing I noticed on the Valve Index. Is you do get quite a lot of God rays. So it's different from God rays. If you remember the original Oculus Rift, that had like God ray beams, but the Valve Index has more of a sort of like you've got smudged sunglasses and someone's shining a light at you and it kind of smudges the light around. This doesn't have that at all. I'd say the lenses on this, in terms of the actual lens clarity, is much closer to the Rift S general clarity and general feel of the lenses. I'm not noticing the sort of Fresnel lines either. It very much has a Rift S kind of lens quality to it, but then you get the wider field of view and you do have that distortion at the edges, and the sweet spot's definitely a lot smaller than the Rift S. It doesn't, moving looking around the image more as well, it doesn't feel like everything's like perfectly sharp, if that makes sense. It does at the very center, but if I move my head up and look down, then it's kind of like things are a little bit blurred and not perfectly sharp. And there is more general distortion across the whole lens as well as the edges than what you get with the Rift S, and definitely a lot more general distortion and warping than the Valve Index. I think one of the things the Valve Index does absolutely fantastically is it's a very clear, consistent image that doesn't warp at all. Like when you look around with the Valve Index, there's no warping whatsoever. Like, pretty much, so I would imagine that if you're very sensitive to sort of motion sickness or VR sickness, this headset might not be that good of an idea. But I mean, to be honest, if you're playing a bloody driving simulator, you've probably got past that VR motion sickness thing already. But oh man, do you know what's going to kill me? It's going back to the Valve Index after using this. Is going to feel like I'm a horse with blinkers on. But that's the frustrating thing. You use something like this, and then you're like, oh, wide field of view, it's amazing. But you know what? I'd like a little bit more clarity in the middle. And then you use the Valve Index here, and you're like, oh, that's nice clarity, and it's nice and uniform. But it's missing the field of view. All these VR headsets are just torture devices to make you want VR, what VR is going to be in the next like five years' time. I mean, this is incredible right now, though. Don't get me wrong. But it's like a tease. It's a VR tease. Oh man. I mean, in terms of frame rate, this is running at 90 hertz. I have to say, you can tell it's at 90 hertz. You can tell the difference there. I have used the Valve Index quite a bit, and I run that 120 hertz, and there is an inherent smoothness to that, and you can tell that this doesn't have that, which does, if you've not used a Valve Index or high hertz monitor then or a VR headset, then you're not going to know any difference. But there is a smoothness there that's lacking from this, and obviously like the Rift S as well, and the Oculus Quest. But You know, he's like, aspects of this are fantastic. Surprisingly, I mean, the actual general build quality of the headset is a little bit tacky, like it's kind of a bit plasticky, and the head strap is, you know, it's like DK2 days. But it's not very heavy. The headset's not very heavy. It's surprisingly, unintuitively, and you wouldn't think it from how it looks, it's surprisingly okay to wear on your face. It's getting a little bit warm after just that, like, 10 minutes drive, but it is surprisingly comfortable. And having seen this headset before with it looking so wide and big, in my mind I was like, oh, it must be really heavy and uncomfortable. But actually, in the driving sim, not too bad. Maybe a little bit of pressure. I think the foam would probably have to be replaced for something a bit softer. But other than that, the comfort in this very short period doesn't seem too bad. It'll require more testing, but guys, wide field of view is trippy. It is very trippy. Probably made you all motion sick with the moving around there. Sorry, guys. And the game actually seemed to run okay. I don't know if it was distorting or warping much in the recording there. I'm using a separate PC for the recording, but I have to say it's fascinating, fascinating, Mr. Watson. But that was me losing my wide field of view virginity for your viewing pleasure. Why am I looking at the microphone when the camera's over? Look, you talk to the camera, not the microphone. Yeah, I'm a little bit special, but Pimax 5K Plus, we'll be doing more videos and more testing. I've yet to actually get this working with controllers, so I can play some like Pavlov and stuff, because those are my sort of favourite VR games outside of driving sims. We've got to test this with a flight simulator as well, but super interesting. We'll obviously we'll have more final thoughts and review video when we've done a lot more testing. But thanks for watching this one, guys. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to click the like button. And don't forget to also maybe subscribe and click that bell if you want to keep up to date with us. Can I put you in the headset? Get you all to experience the field of view. No, that's not going to work, is it? You can't experience the field of view, I'm afraid. Sorry, can't do that through monitors. But yeah, until the next one, guys. Happy purple floor, happy tea drinking, and goodbye.